Hello and welcome to another video here on AV Forums. I'm Phil Hinton, I'm the site editor, and today we're going to look at the Panasonic JZ2000 best settings out of the box. These are also applicable for the JZ1500 as both TVs use exactly the same custom professional panel. So the settings will be the same for each. For the best out of the box settings, these are not calibrated settings, these are the best out of the box. So when you get a new TV and you want to see content as it was mastered and intended to be seen, these are the settings you need. So first of all, we're going to click on the menu button and we're going to take main menu, and we're going to go to picture mode, and we're going to make sure that this is in filmmaker mode. Now you can put it in professional 1 or professional 2, those are calibrated settings as well, but we're going to stick to filmmaker mode, basically because filmmaker mode is designed to be completely accurate out of the box, so you can see content as it was mastered and intended to be seen. It also has all the processing switched off. There's no noise reduction on or anything else. You're seeing the content as it's supposed to be seen. Now the beauty with filmmaker mode is you can adjust the luminance level. 30 is 100 nits, but of course you can put that up to 100 if you're in a very bright room. Now the only thing you need to be aware of in here, most of these settings are set correctly, but there may be the ambient sensor may be switched on. I have seen this on some Panasonic TVs. The JZ1500 had the ambient sensor switched on at default. The JZ2000 here didn't, but if it does, you can switch it off. You also need to quickly check intelligent frame creation as well and just check that that is switched off as well. And of course we're just going through and just double checking that everything is set correctly here. That is the case, everything should be switched off, and in advanced settings just make sure that the color gamut is set to Rec 709 for SDR content. It would be BT or Rec 2020 on this menu if it was HDR content, so you just need to double check those. But that's everything set up for watching movies in filmmaker mode with SDR content. We'll look at HDR10 next. So once we feed the TV an HDR signal, this is HDR10 signal. We're using the S&M disc for Spears & Munsell, the UHD disc, but you can put any HDR10 content in here onto the TV, and when you go to the menu it'll say HDR at the top, and it'll give you a list of presets that you can select. We're going to select filmmaker mode like we did with the SDR signal. This sets everything to the way it should be out of the box, so you can see the content as it was mastered and intended to be seen, which means all the processing and everything else is switched off on the TV, and you are getting the signal and the color and white balance, etc., as it should be. So there's absolutely nothing that we need to change in here, but we will go through very quickly. Now do make sure that ambient sensor is switched off. On some Panasonics I've tested this year, this has been switched on at default in filmmaker mode, so just check that that is switched off, and we're just going to go down and just double check that everything is switched off, and it is by the looks of things. Of course we're not going to touch anything in these menus. Another thing to make sure is that dynamic HDR effect is switched off if you want the TV to tone map the content via the metadata. So if it's 1000 nit or 4000 nit content, it will tone map it correctly. If you put dynamic HDR effect on, it basically adds just one HDR tone map, whether it's 1000 or 4000 nit content. With 4000 nit content it can look a little bit strange with some content depending on what the metadata flag is when the TV picks it up. So we found that switching that off is probably best if you want the tone mapping to work correctly. Of course you can go in and switch tone mapping off and then clip the TV the way you want it. This is more for professional use, not for home use, so yeah, you want to leave tone map on. And like I say, everything else is where it should be, which everything switched off, and that is correct. So that's HDR10 settings. We'll come back in a second with Dolby Vision. So we're now sending the TV a Dolby Vision signal. Again, we're using the Spears & Munsell disc. You can swap between Dolby Vision, HDR10 and SDR on the same disc, just by going through the demo material and selecting that. You can obviously send the TV a Dolby Vision signal from something like Disney Plus content is usually in Dolby Vision. You can find Dolby Vision content also on Netflix if you need to feed the TV a Dolby Vision signal, or of course the S&M disc that we're using here. So it does default to Dolby Vision IQ. Now this uses the ambient sensor, measures the light in the room, and then adjusts the image depending on the light in your room, but it also keeps the dynamic metadata, so it tries and remains as accurate as possible to the creator's intent and how it was mastered. Although what it does do is it adds noise reduction in, which is what we don't want, and unfortunately we can't go in and switch noise reduction off. So it will be scrubbing some fine detail content. It also has intelligent frame creation on minimum, so it is adding frame interpolation. Why Dolby do this, we don't know. It's very strange. If they are following the creator's intent, that's not the creator's intent, unfortunately. So if you want to use IQ, just be aware that that is the case. We would suggest that you use Dolby Vision Dark, and that you change the luminance level depending on the lighting within your room. So go into Dolby Vision Dark and then change the luminance level, just a slider, and you can change the panel brightness depending on the room that you are in. And obviously you want that so it is balanced and that you can see detail in the dark area of the picture as well as the light area of the picture, and it's not overly bright that is burning your retinas if you're in a dark room. So that's mainly it. You want to check that the ambient sensor is switched off, but of course it's grayed out in Dolby Vision. Dolby have some control over everything in here, and everything should be switched off. So this should be as the creator intended, as it was mastered, as it's supposed to be seen, and that is the case if we just quickly go through and check everything here. So that's it. Everything is set up for us for Dolby Vision. So that's Dolby Vision Dark, and then adjust the luminance level for your viewing environment. If you want to use IQ, you can use IQ. Just be aware that there are issues with noise reduction being added there, as well as frame interpolation, and you cannot switch it off. It's all grayed out. If you enjoyed this video, then thanks very much. Please do subscribe and like the video, and we'll see you for another settings video very soon.